Hello and welcome to Smartkarma's corporate webinar. I'm Sanam Nanwani from Smartkarma. This week we are hosting China's Shenshan Orchard. We are glad to have with us Executive Director David Zhao and Financial Controller Raymond Ho. We will start the webinar with David walking us through a company presentation, after which he and Raymond will engage in a fireside chat with Smartkarma Insight Provider Angus Mackintosh. We are taking live Q&A, so I would like to request our attendees to post your questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. During the webinar, I will also share some links on how you can connect with China's Shenshan Orchard and read more research by Angus. So please do keep a lookout for messages in the chat box. I now hand it over to David to walk us through a short company presentation. David, please.
Sure, thank you. Right. So good afternoon. My name is David Zhao, and I am the Executive Director of China Shenshan Orchard. I'm very happy to take this opportunity to present you our company, a leading kiwi fruit producer in China. China Shenshan is located at Chibi, Hubei province, which is in the central part of China. Chibi has very well known for its famous ancient battlefield of the Three Kingdoms almost 2,000 years ago in ancient China's history. And now Chibi is also very well known kiwi fruit plantation area. Chibi's unique climate and land conditions are very suitable for kiwi growing, and it has become one of the major kiwi plantation areas in China. We are the largest kiwi producer in China and have 9 orchards in different locations in Chibi. With a land of more than 10,000 mu, we have a complete end-to-end value chain from variety development to sales and marketing through our nationwide distribution network. Here, I would like to emphasize our in-house R&D capabilities that differentiates us from the competitors in China. By teaming up with China's top-tier kiwi experts, our R&D center has been developing our own kiwi varieties. Up to now, we own 6 premium plant varieties and 5 pending for approval. Our production of kiwi fruit comes from the variety development by ourselves. Xianguo series is our self-developed variety. Its quality can be comparable with raspberries in terms of fruit size and sweetness. In addition, our orchard infrastructure standard is very high. For example, our orchards adopt a fertilizer and a water integrated system, which greatly improve production value. We also utilize QR code to manage kiwi trees growth. If you have a chance to visit our orchard someday, you may use your mobile phone to scan the QR code to check every tree's status and get the information immediately. By doing so, we are able to collect data to control and manage the entire kiwi fruit cultivation process, as well as monitor the overall process and the performance of the trees. We have 13 years of experience in operating kiwi plantation business. From financial point of view, company's production volume, annual revenues, and the profit margins have been growing steadily over the past year. Last year was an exception as the production volume reduced to 31,000 tons, and the sales revenues decreased to 85 million RMB. The lower sales volume was mainly attributed to the prolonged heat waves in China from May to August 2022, which exacerbate a drought that adversely affect the ripen stage of kiwi fruit and impact the group's annual harvest volume. It was China's most severe heat wave in 6 decades, with the highest temperature and one of the lowest levels of rainfall's record. So gross profit margin remains stable at 92.8%, while net profit margin decreased to 28.7%. From past experience, drought is not a common phenomenon in company's planting area. However, we are optimistic about a rebound in harvest volume and sales as the drought subsidized and China's economy recovers from the COVID-19 pandemic. Next, I'm going to talk about China's kiwi industry and conclude our next approach to becoming China's zespri. Based on the data we have collected and our observation on China's kiwi market for a decade, we believe that China has become the largest kiwi fruit producer in the world. Kiwi fruit industry in China is growing rapidly, and there is still huge room for growth over the next decades, as the Chinese customers have become more affluent. Import value is increasing significantly over the years. This shows that there is a command in the pricing as the demand is high for premium kiwi fruit. On the other hand, kiwi fruit industry in China is highly fragmented, as most of the kiwi fruits are produced by household farmers and small kiwi plantation firms. They have little premium varieties with no branding. The lack of standards, technological knowledge, systematic management methods, and distribution channels. So they can produce a lot, but they cannot sell them well. So here comes our next approach to expand our business. We'll provide our premium variety by listening to small household farmers and allowing them to grow our variety free of charge. When the harvest season comes, we will acquire the qualified kiwi from those growers at the great price, which is higher than the average. Then we will do the rest of the work that small household farmers hardly can. We will be responsible for auto-assembling, sorting, packing, and sell them through our existing distribution channels with company's brand. By doing so, we could expand our production volume rapidly without purchasing additional lands by ourselves, which is very expensive and difficult to do in China. So in summary, we are going to adopt a two-pronged strategy. One way is that we will focus on growing our own kiwi fruits. We remain committed to our R&D, enhance orchards infrastructure, and set up a good example to household farmers who are interested in our licensing model. In addition, we'll license our premium variety to household farmers and small plantation firms to allow them grow our own varieties. We'll also provide kiwi plantation technologies, management method to help them to achieve good harvest each year. We are currently negotiating with the Chibi Municipal Government, Chibi Agriculture Bureau, and the Chibi Specialty Bureau to increase the government's investment in companies' kiwi fruit business, such as establishing a kiwi fruit industry development fund and providing government subsidies for the kiwi industry. We estimate both our production volume and sales revenues can be doubled within 5 years. Okay, that is all for my presentation today. Thank you. We are open for Q&A session. Feel free to ask me any questions. Thank you. Okay.
Great. No, thank you very much, David. That was a very interesting presentation. It seems like a very interesting industry. Obviously, you're producing a fruit which is plays into the hands of people's increased awareness of being healthy. Obviously, a lot of vitamin C and a very popular fruit. Just to sort of take a step back, Shenshan Orchard is the largest producer of kiwi fruit in China. Could you give a little bit of brief history on how you came to the position you got to right now? Where did the company originally come from?
Yeah, our company originally come from one of our major frozen food company, which is named Senior Food Holdings. Our company, have many years of doing the food industry in China, and we believe that in long run in China, the agriculture business is a good business in China, especially for those the high-end fruit plantation and selling. We see that is very huge business opportunity in China. So about 13 years ago, we decided to invest in this business. Luckily, we have invested a lot of locations in China. Finally, we decided to establish the company in China in Chibi, which is in the Hubei province. That is the central part of the China. It has the unique climates and the conditions of the land and the supportive government. Those kind of factors we have taken. We realized that is a good opportunity. So, about 13 years ago, we decided to establish this business in China. So far, we have been through a lot of difficulties in the past, but luckily, we overcome them, and we are more and more familiar with this business, and we from our sales point of view and profitable point of view, we have done this business right.
Very good. And what would you sort of estimate that your current market share is in the China market for kiwi fruit? I mean, obviously you already mentioned that it's a highly competitive market,
right,
and you're the biggest share, but
right. As I mentioned, the Chinese kiwi fruit market is very, very huge, and the competitors and those local farmers, the numbers can be countless. However, we can differentiate us, from those competitors very easily, because we are largest, companies, focusing on kiwi plantations and sellings. From the land size point of view, we definitely is the largest one in China. But like I mentioned, our production volume by ourselves alone, is not that big, because the market is so big. Okay, and but the profit level and the gross margin level is good. We do not have the number of our market shares, because that is so minimal. I believe that is so minimal, but we are still the number one in China, and we are going to use the strategies I just mentioned, like the licensing models, to increase our production volume without purchasing lands in China, because in China, acquiring lands is very expensive and difficult to do. So we believe that the licensing model that we are going to use is very good strategy. In China, and we have good and successful example. That is a New Zealand's Zespri. That's the model exactly the same. In Zespri. Zespri, actually, that company is very unique. Basically, that company does not produce a lot kiwi fruit in New Zealand. However, they give the very good varieties to New Zealand household farmers, and New Zealand also provide the technologies, some of the guidance, and to the household farmers, and help them to achieve very good harvest, and they acquire the qualified the kiwi fruit, and Zespri use their branding and distribution channels to sell them all over the world. Okay. We see that the model is very successful, and if we want to, increase our production volume, rapidly, I believe that is a very good way to do.
Right. So the key is having effectively the right product and the right varieties, which you have the license for. And then you can then license the farmers to produce for you and produce those varieties. And are you finding that the farmers are able to produce consistent quality of kiwi fruit, or are you providing them with enough sort of industry expertise to enable them to do that?
Right. If we use the licensing models, the quality of the fruit is the key factors that we are going to look at. So, like I mentioned, we are going to acquire only qualified kiwi fruit from those farmers, and we believe we can do that correctly, and we also can help those farmers can do that kiwi plantation right. The charming thing of this business is that we can increase that volume. That is the most important thing that we are focusing on. That model, we believe that model is the correct model. Okay.
Right. And just for the sort of background of the mechanics of it. So you're providing the licensed brand to the farmer and providing them with the kiwi tree. And how long does it take for the tree to start producing the fruit?
Yeah, here is some of the background information about the kiwi trees. Okay, we provide those kiwi trees. We call that the baby trees, to those farmers. Okay, and the farmers have land, and how to set up those infrastructures. That is the standards. We have those standards, and it takes about 3 years to let the baby trees to grow up, and normally at the 4th year or the 3 year, at the 3rd year, the tree will become, fruit. There are some productions, and after that, from the 3rd year to even longer, as long as the 80 years, that tree can produce consistent fruit. So yeah, you have to invest the 3 years to let those trees grow, and after that the trees become mature and that can produce those fruit consistently. Yeah, that is the business.
Right. I mean, so you were already licensing the production to certain farmers now. So when will those initial farmers start to produce the kiwi fruit and add to your production?
Right, we have contact and train some of the farmers near Chibi that area, but that number is not, because we just started that the strategy. Yeah, they are learning, and they are learning, and we have done some of the training sessions for them, and teach them how to use those varieties correctly and how to do that the plantation correctly. Yeah, that is where we're focusing right now, and we have started in Chibi, and we estimate we can expand this model like the next year or the year after that.
Right. And just sort of going back, so you said 6 varieties already licensed. I think you said another 5 under negotiation.
5, yeah, waiting for approval.
And so those are all going to add to your potential upside. And is there a lot of differentiation between the different varieties of kiwi fruit? I mean, or are they sort of, because I know that the advantages you have are the fruit are bigger and sweeter and kind of
right. Yeah, they are the five varieties that we have developed by ourselves. They have some slightly difference. Okay, because China is a big country. Some of the locations, some of the conditions. If you use the one variety, that is too risky for us. Okay. So we'll keep doing more varieties to have more flexibilities when we using these models in China, because China is a huge country. Some of the central parts of the China, that the climate might be suitable for this kind of variety, and like in the west of the China, that another variety might be more suitable. So we are comparing this kind of varieties.
Right. I'll just feed in this question now, which has come in from the audience, which is basically just, we've already covered some of it, just in case you wanted to make some more comments. Can you share about how you differentiate from your competitors, since kiwi fruit seems to be quite a homogeneous product?
Yeah. I think there are many differences, between our products and other, local products. For example, our product have the branding. Okay, the branding actually in China has become more and more important. Okay, like I mentioned, those small farmers, they do not have the sense of the branding, because the volume of the production they have cannot support they do this branding business. Because if you want to do branding, you have to invest a lot. Most of those small farmers cannot afford it. So we see our competitors basically are those imported fruits, majorly from New Zealand, raspberries. And raspberries sales at current point of time is much higher than us. So that is why we want to use those the licensing strategy to compete with them. However, for the quality of the varieties, we believe that the quality, with raspberries fruits is very similar. It's very similar. And those are variety developed by us. Okay, that is the key thing. We can differentiation, our product from other competitors.
Right. So it's effectively it's better quality fruit, strong branding, and the fact that you can maintain the quality of the fruit over time. So I might just sort of take a step back and talk about the production, because is your production sort of highly mechanized, if you like, obviously the quality of fruit can be affected by the way that it's grown and how much fertilizer you use and how much water you can provide. Maybe give it a little bit of an idea as to how your means of production is more efficient and more beneficial than the competition in China.
Right. The production, the issue of the production, I think right now for a company is the major one. We can make this business profitable, but if our production volume cannot be increased rapidly, so your profit will stay there. So production, there are two ways, to produce or to increase our production if we do not use those licensing model. One is that you have to add or have to buy more lands, okay, to have more trees. So that is one way to do that, but that is very costly. And the other is that you have to improve your technologies and invest a lot in that infrastructures. Currently, our standard of the infrastructure have been very high already. We don't see or we don't believe there are too much room for those technology, okay, can help us. So like I mentioned, the production can be increased either by adding more lands or more technology on it. And then we have seen that we have reached the ceiling. We have reached the ceiling. There's no more much rooms for us to do. So that is why I want to emphasize our next approach that we're going to use. That is the licensing models, because that is that's a very good strategy to let us grow. And there is an example we can learn. That is the raspberries model that we are going to take. Yeah, but that take time to get this done.
And do you in the production? I mean, do you use more fertilizers and more pesticides, organic or otherwise,
right
in the cultivation process than
yeah, definitely.
that a local farmer would? I mean, obviously, because that's a cost.
That is cost.
Yeah. So do you use more of those fertilizers and so on during your production?
Yeah. Right. It is not to say the more fertilizer you are going to use, the more production you are going to have. That is not an equal thing. There's a standard. We have managed to we have understand those kind of standards, and we're when we are going to and we're using these standards to do our current business, and then we are going to use those standards to do licensing models when we cooperate with those farmers.
Right, and just in the obviously the I mean, obviously you've been subject to the impact of a drought last year, which is very unusual. You mentioned. What are the other risks with disease and so on? Or are kiwifruit quite disease resistant?
There are other risk factors also. Like I mentioned, the drought, that is not unusual, but it happened. And some the disease is other major risk that especially the PSD. Actually, that is very difficult to handle. Okay, but however, from our experience, the varieties that we are using is good for to resist this kind of disease. Yeah, we have seen a little bit, but that not much.
Right.
Okay.
And those diseases, are they insect-borne diseases or otherwise?
That disease can be a lot of kind of diseases, but the PSD is the most famous one, and that's the most killing factors. There are some insects or some that can impact the business a little bit, but the degree of the PSD is the most severe. That is we have observed.
Right, and how do you protect against that?
Right. Yeah. So the variety is the key thing.
The variety, right?
Yeah, variety. If you are using the right correct varieties, that kind of disease is not that severe. It's not that important. But the variety is not correct. Well, that will be disaster.
Right. Understood. Okay. So obviously, your production is very well honed, if you like. You're producing a very high quality of fruit, and then obviously you need to differentiate, I guess, through maintaining the quality of the fruit. Once it's been harvested and sorted, and I understand that the packing is also a pretty important component.
Very important.
And moving on from that is the ability to employ sort of cold storage in the whole process. It might be worth expanding on that for the attendees.
Right. There are a lot of factors you needed to pay attention to. Right, like you mentioned, that those the sorting, assembling, packing, transportations, those kind of things you have to pay attention to. And like you mentioned, that those cold chain, that cold storage, that is also important factors in our business. Currently, or all of our transporters, they have their own cold. We call it the cold chain logistics, capabilities. Those kind of things in China is a very common thing. That's a common thing because we have been in this business for many years. Like I mentioned, our company originally come from our fast frozen food companies. We're pretty familiar with this business, and we know how to handle this kind of cooperators with our company, and they can, currently they are doing well.
Right. I mean, well, yeah, good to possibly move on now to talk a little bit more about the distribution channels that you use. Because I understand, obviously, it's mainly through wholesalers and distributors rather than going direct to retailers, for example.
That's right.
You also have some e-commerce distribution as well. So it might be worth talking a little bit about that side of the business.
Yeah, in China, you have to deal with the wholesalers and the distributors if you want to do the business correctly, especially for those the companies like the fruit, like the food, like those kind of commercial stuff. You have to use them. There's no way to skip them. Directly to face this consumer directly. You cannot skip that. You have to use their strengths, to help you to sell your product. And the fruit, they have a life cycle. Normally they have, if you handle them well, you can have this 2 months, even 3 months, from your orchards to customers' table. Okay, that normally 3 months. So within that 3 months, you have to sell them well. Okay, in order to increase, or shorten the days that the inventory you have to hold. But you have to use them, and you have to manage them properly. Okay. On the other hand, we have tried that's the e-commerce. We have our own stores in Taobao.com, in JD.com, some of the major e-commerce platform. We have our own. Right, we have tried that, and we see the portion of the sales coming from the e-commerce platform have been growing. Okay.
But I mean, what portion of sales would that be? Is it a very small percentage?
Last year, if I remember correctly, that is 5 to 8% of our. Okay, but next year, right, we believe that it can be, can be grown.
Can be grown. Okay, and just to sort of get an idea of the working capital cycle and so on. Does the company have fixed contracts with its channel partners, like the wholesalers and distributors? Do they guarantee an offtake of a certain amount of kiwi fruit? I understand actually there's more demand than there is supply, so that's not really too much of an issue, is it?
We have considered that strategy to use the fixed contract to to handle these suppliers or to handle those distributors. But however, actually in China, that is not wise to do it because because those distributors, that their business is also very very competitive or highly competitive. Okay, if we use those fixed contract with some certain suppliers or some certain distributors, actually that is will lose some of the possibilities, for pricing or for the quality of service. So that is a better way to do that. To let them compete each other, and we select the most the best cooperator. That is the way we are right now doing.
Right. And does the kiwi price tend to be sort of relatively stable, or is it quite
relatively stable? Quite stable. Yeah.
Okay.
From the past 10 years, the price is stable. Yeah.
Okay, and I understand that obviously there's a very kind of strong seasonal element to it.
That's right.
Because you've got various festivals. Obviously, the Mid-Autumn Festival is the one closest to the kiwi harvest, which is in September. Can you just explain how the dynamics of that work?
How
the dynamics of demand work through that seasonal period? Because obviously there's a big seasonal peak in October during the Mid-Autumn Festival, and then there is a further potential source of demand later on.
Yeah, the food business is very seasonal, right? our harvest time normally happened in at the end of the October to early of the September. So our sales actually start at that date. Okay, and luckily, when we hit the harvest season, we also hit that one of the sales peak in China that we call the Mid-Autumn Festival. At this point of time, like the 1 week, holidays, that the sales can be doubled than before or than the average. So luckily, we will hit that the sales peak during that at the first week of the October, or some the late, like the end of the September. So the price normally stable, and if we can hold most of our inventories to next year's January or February, we can hit another sales peak. That is spring festival. That's the biggest festival in China. At that time, that price will be higher than average. So there's the two sales peak, and our product can, if we want to hold that the inventories to next year's, we'll still have a next sales peak in China. So but there is a balance. If our production volume is much higher than current we have, and we can hold most of our inventories to next year's, and to have the better selling price. But if your production level remains not that much, that is not very cost effective, to do that, because you have to bear with the cost of the storage, those the kind of labors, those kind of things. So there's the balance. Currently, we have all of the majority of our inventory can be sold before December.
Right. So and that would make sense. So the harvest actually, when does the harvest finish? Does the harvest finish in September, or does it extend into?
Finish actually end of September. Normally. And
then you can store the fruit for up to 3 months after that.
That's right. Right.
And then 3 months is effectively expiry, is it? I mean, I understand from looking at your sort of history and so on, you have very, very little wastage. So obviously everything you have is sold. With greater production, you say you can possibly, would you have to cold store, at even lower temperatures? Would you to keep it for the next?
Right. Well, if you want to do that, the fruit business, you have to look at the waste problem. There are many ways we handle this kind of thing. One way is that we do all of those assembling, sorting, those kind of work, not by hand but by machine. So use that machines that can greatly decrease the damage, from the fruit. That's one way to do that. And another is that you have to packing them very properly. Okay, the packing is also very important factors, in fruit business. If you packing them very, very well, and that package can, help those, help to reduce that level of the wastage. So, that's the two major ways that right now we are handling those waste problem.
Right, and then the sales, sort of the most of the distributors are I mean, I guess they're distributing mainly to modern retail outlets, whether it be hypermarkets or supermarkets or doesn't much get sold in local markets. So your product presumably is pretty much most of it going through modern retail.
Right. Yeah, our product eventually goes to those supermarket that you mentioned that, but we do not handle those business directly by ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Those business will be handled by those distributors and wholesalers. They will handle this kind of a business, so that there is some of the margins that they can make.
Understood. So and just sort of taking a step back. So when you're producing, your margins are very high for the product, and obviously there's a scarcity value which is keeping the prices very stable. When you start to license to the farmers, will that sort of greatly impact your margin on the product?
I don't think so, because that's like the price we are going to acquire from those farmers. That average price, we think that will be a little bit higher than the average, because you have to do that. If you acquire their products, below the average, why they want to sell to you? So that is, we'll have the contract. We'll have the contract with the farmers, okay, to make sure that the farmers can make money, and at the same time to make sure there is enough, margin space for us to handle this business.
Right, understood.
Right.
Okay, and just sort of going, looking at the sort of cost components of the business. I mean, obviously, packaging, you said, is very important, and obviously things like fertilizer and so on can be. And packaging, for that matter, can be influenced by moves in the oil price and other sort of raw material prices. I mean, what impact does that have, on the overall business? What are the biggest sort of cost components which you worry about?
Most of the cost, I think that the fertilizers and those infrastructure investment will be the most, that's the cost factors. That's the maybe that the number one or number two, those cost factor. But the daily maintain is also cost factors. Daily maintain, because we need to hire employees to do the daily work from the day one to to the year end. That's that kind of thing you cannot you cannot forget. And some of the cost factors.
I mean, the packaging cost, is that something which is volatile, or
what it cost?
The packaging costs.
Packaging cost, I think that is not that very high. That's just the one factors, but I believe that is not the biggest one.
Right. Okay. And just sort of, to give the attendees an idea of your future expansion plans, in terms of what you're targeting, in terms of, can you increase the distribution network more, or do you think you have, your distribution network fully in place, and it's all just a matter of increasing production? And you've talked about to do that.
Right.
Could you give us an idea of how you see the sort of future expansion shaping up?
The future expansion depends on the production you can have, right? Currently, that the distribution network is suitable for us already. Okay, in the long run, if our licensing model can be work. To expand that the distribution network is definitely necessary. Definitely necessary. That the distribution expansion depends on the production volume you are going to have. The more you have, the more the production volume you have, the more distribution you are going to have. That is that is ratio thing, right?
Right. So say you're thinking about this year and the year after. I mean, the majority of growth, I'm presuming this year, will be certainly a rebound from last year, given there was a seasonal factor which was not normal with the drought. So that there should be a rebound from that, obviously. And otherwise, do you have a number of, a portion of trees which are not yet mature, which are starting to mature, so that will come in and produce more fruit?
Right.
And when will the first licensed kiwi fruit production will come to market, if you like?
Well, the trees are still there. Only a little bit trees died because of drought, but most of the trees are okay for next year's growth. But the drought, that impacts your production, but that cannot kill the trees completely.
Yes, yeah. No, understood. Yeah, understood.
Right.
So those trees will produce more fruit this year because to the normal
level. Yeah, normal level at least. Yeah.
And just talking about the license production, the farmers you've given trees to, I mean, when do you envisage some of that production coming online and you being able to sell some of those fruit?
Yeah, we are expecting we can have this kind of business or have licensing models within 3 years.
Right, within 3 years.
Yeah, within 3 years.
Okay.
Right, and we'll recruit more and more farmers to to have our own varieties. Yeah, we are trying to do that. But another way to do that, the licensing business, is through government. We have to have government support, to do this licensing models, because only local government, Chinese government, they have this kind of ability, and they can organize a bunch of the farmers to do that business together. If we want to recruit the small farmers one by one, that is very time consuming. So on the other hand, we are also trying to cooperate with the local governments to help this business model can be successful.
Right. So you effectively work with the local government in order to.
That's right. Yeah. Right now we are. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that in a lot of ways that's a very strong sort of ESG quality for the company. You're basically helping farmers to become more productive by giving them better varieties and improving, improving the.
Right. Right. We believe more and more farmers were convinced of our model, because we have our own orchards, and they are orchards very, very good to look, and those so that is why we have to have our own orchards to grow our own varieties. That is good examples to convince those farmers to okay, your variety, your trees are good, so they want to they are relaxed to cooperate with us. Right. Because that is at least 3 years have no yields, and they have to bear that cost. So that is for them, there's some factors they need to consider. So once they are convinced and that the yields and that the production can come out after 3 years, okay, they will have the more confidence to do that business with us.
Right. And do you have a sort of targeted area that you would look to expand by through that?
Yes. We are forced to do that business in Chibi or in Hubei, because that is a lot of things have been passed or will be proven, like the climates, like the conditions of the lands, because our company there and orchards there. So we are firstly to do this kind of a business in Hubei, just around nearby. Yeah. And the second thing is that we'll probably to do that business or to expand our models to south part of Henan. There are some already existing kiwi fruit farmers and some firms. They are doing this business right now, but they are using different varieties, not our varieties. Okay, and some other location that is suitable for kiwi fruit growing is in Sichuan province.
Right.
So there's a lot of many locations are suitable for kiwi plantation. So yeah, we have to do that one by one. So yeah, we will start at our Hubei Chibi area. That is we are very convenient to commute to go there.
Right, and you mentioned that you would potentially look to double production over the next 5 years, and that that is going to be mostly coming from licensed expansion, or do you think you will acquire any more land?
Within 5 years, I think that's 50 to 50.
It will be 50-50. So that
right. 50, 50% of the production come out of our own orchards, and 50% come out of the licensing business within 5 years.
Within 5 years,
because you have to have 3 years to bear the baby tree to grow.
So that would mean you would have another 10,000 mu of land effectively in 5 years' time through licensing.
Right. Yeah. That is correct. Yeah, that calculation is close enough. Correct.
Right. Okay, very interesting. And just sort of in terms of the outlook for demand, I mean, this is a year, 2023 year is hopefully it's not COVID free, but COVID is no longer seems to be an issue for the world. How does that influence demand? I mean, are you seeing more demand as a result of people being able to move around and go out to supermarkets and do all the normal things? Is that a positive tailwind?
Yeah, definitely. The COVID-19 policy no longer there. That definitely is is good for business. But we don't see that will be huge increase because of it. Okay, that will be some increase because of it, but we don't expect that will be huge increase because of it.
Right. And do you provide any sort of guidance for this year or not? Do you have anything you'd like to say to sort of to round off, because we're now getting to the end of the time? How would you like to close off your remarks?
Well, I think I want you guys to believe that business right now where our company is doing is a good business. It's a good business, and we see in the long run that business will grow. Okay, will grow, and there's a lot of supportive factors coming in. The government subsidize or support our business more and more. Okay, we can see a lot of governments involved in our business and to provide a lot of supportive things to us, like some of the agriculture subsidize and to help us to establish some the agriculture fund. And that's the kind of thing. And another things I needed to mention that high-end fruit in China, I believe that will grow and stable as long as the China's economy has have become more and more healthy, and more Chinese people have become affluent. There's a tradition, or there's a very obvious factors. The more Chinese people make, and the more they will spend on high-end fruit. That is very very interesting thing in China. So in long run, our business definitely is a good business. However, the challenge is that business model we are going to use that takes some time to prove that work. So some investors or some people don't have enough patience to wait. But however, if you are doing the business in agriculture, you have to be patient. 3 years, 4 years, okay. Yeah, you have to be wait. You have to be patient. For us, that's the same thing. We have to try one by one, and to give more time to have better quality, varieties. That's all time issues. So if you want to do the business in agriculture in China, you have to be more patient. That is thing. But in the summary, I very positive. I very highly believed or licensing model can be successful in China, because there's no other way to let our business can grow rapidly. Because like I mentioned, buying lands you can do that, but you cannot expect to have a lot of increase, and it's very difficult and very expensive to do that. That is not a smart way to do that. So we believe that the licensing model is a very good model, for our company to grow.
Very good, David. Well, that's been fascinating to learn more about the industry and the outlook, and sounds like you've got a lot of growth to come in the future. But thank you very much. It's been a fascinating discussion. I'm going to hand back to Sanam, and good to talk to you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Angus, for some very interesting questions. And a big thanks to David for a detailed insight into China's Shenshan Orchard, the challenges in its sector, and opportunity for China's Shenshan Orchard. I would also like to thank our attendees who joined this session live. With that, I would like to wrap up this week's corporate webinar. Thanks again, and have a great week ahead, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.